It's a complicated situation, Johnny. I mean, you're my friend. I don't want to get between you and Lisa. But look, if you want to, you should confront her.
I can't confront her. I want to give her a second chance. After all, she's my future wife. You know what they say, love is blind.
Welcome again to Attack the Schlock. Today we're going to talk about two different movies. Again, this is Dobbs, this is Rock. And last night we went to the theater and we saw The Room. And then also we want to talk about another movie that if you like The Room, you're going to love this movie. And it's perfect for Halloween. You know, it's perfect for this time of year. So we'll start off by talking about The Room. We're not going to talk about the movie per se, because if you don't know what The Room is, just go on YouTube and look it up. Like, what's wrong with you? But we'll just talk about the experience that we had going to the movie. And like, I had seen this movie before. I'd actually seen The Room probably 4 or 5 times, but I've only seen it on my laptop, by myself or with another person. And you had never seen the whole movie.
Not in its entirety.
Not in its entirety. You'd seen the YouTube clips that I kept forwarding to,
right.
And I was like, we gotta see this.
I used to know a girl. She had a dozen guys. One of them found out about it, beat her up so bad she ended up in a hospital on Guerrero Street.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah, you can say that again.
I'm so happy I have you as my best friend, and I love Lisa so much.
In all of these cases of the movies that we're talking about right now, I feel a little bit sorry for all the people that are involved. But I definitely think that this movie in particular has such an amazing amount of charm for how horrible it is. And it's so easy to like because, especially Tommy was his character is so good-natured, and it's kind of pathetic in a way. And so I actually really like the movie despite being really painful. And I think if I was to watch it in earnest by myself, it wouldn't be that fun.
Yeah.
Despite being a couple parts, there's definitely a couple parts that I just crack up every time I even think about them. But
like the flower shop scene.
Like the flower shop scene in particular.
Hi.
Can I help you?
Yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please?
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me. How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And, everybody knows the you're tearing me apart, Lisa line, but...
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
But this experience of going to see it with a big crowd really, cemented for me what this phenomenon has become and what it's all about. And so my reaction to this movie is mostly based on that, on the kind of following that it's gotten. And the people who were there last night had seen it dozens and dozens of times, I'm guessing.
And they love the movie.
Right.
That's the other thing that's so amazing to me about The Room, though, is that these people have a genuine love for this film that is just terrible. But they're really invested, in every scene that's going on. Mm-hmm. They're enraptured by what's happening on the screen, and they want to interact with it because they love it so
I think just the reaction of the audiences, the energy was so great. It was so I laughed so hard, not just at the movie on its own, but at what everyone else was saying. The part with the neck, that was my favorite part. I think I laughed the hardest at that part where her neck bulges and everyone's like, oh,
Yeah. And it just keeps happening too, and it's one of those experiences where you laugh so, I was laughing so hard, tears were coming out of my eyes, I was praying that I could stop laughing. I was like, please let me stop laughing, at least for once. This is painful. It's so funny. And it's so rare to find those type of experiences, I think. And it just as a whole, like, it's rare to find experiences where strangers can come together and really just bond together over something else that's happening. Like, the only other thing that I've experienced that I could equate it to, and you were there like once, but it's like going to Lambeau Field and watching the Packers.
The Packers, yeah, right. Yeah, there's something great about that kind of a cultural event that, you know, is kind of ceremonial, you know, kind of like there's a set procedure and an understood pattern of behavior, and everyone's there for the, you know, to do the same thing and to have a good time. And I thought of that last night actually too. The crowd had that same kind of vibe that you would see at a sporting event.
Yeah.
You know, where they're cheering on the good guy and they're you know, booing the bad guy and yeah.
Yeah, especially when Lisa's name comes up right at the beginning. They're all like, whore! Yeah.
You can come out now, Johnny. She's gone.
In a few minutes, bitch.
So, I want to talk about our Halloween movie, and this will be our first Halloween special extravaganza. I got something just perfect for you guys. So if you love The Room, you are going to love Die Hard Dracula. I laughed. This is probably the first movie that I watched by myself that I was laughing my ass off through the whole movie. It is so awesome.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary. Yeah, it's in the same vein of The Room, while being a completely, you know, it's a genre picture, and it's
it's about Dracula.
It's about Dracula, and it has nothing to do with Bruce Willis or the Die Hard franchise.
No.
But it definitely has a lot of like charm too, kind of like The Room does in its badness. Some of that badness is kind of self-aware, and some of it is clearly not. Yeah. It's really fuzzy where that line is for a lot of us. But in the acting that is like real honest, earnest acting, it's horrible.
Yeah,
and
it's
just, I mean, it's really deplorable and really sad.
Love of family and honor doesn't seem to work. Perhaps greed will.
But at the same time, it's so great, and it like, I love bad movies, and just watching this movie like gave me like this warm, fuzzy feeling.
Totally.
Because it's just so bad, but at the same time, like, there's these parts where they know it's bad, and then there's parts where they try to make it serious, and it all comes off bad, and it's so funny, and it's so predictable too. Though.
Right.
That's the other thing I kind of like about it, is that it's extremely predictable.
It's very formulaic all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got one of my favorite things about it is the Bruce Glover who plays Van Helsing, and Crispin Glover's dad,
who's actually been in some good movies.
He was in Chinatown and a variety of other things, and kind of a, you know, character actor that's been around for a long time, and he just hams it up all the way through this thing, and it's really fun to watch. And
it gets worse too. Like, he keeps hamming it up more and more and more until like the end scene, and then it's just like over the top.
I am always in a hurry when it comes to vampires.
How did you do that?
I am a trickster, Bobby. I am here to find out if you have a true vampire, or just another trickster like me.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. But I didn't ever have a moment where I was like really, of these movies, it's a kind of a polar opposite of After Last Season, which we'll talk about another time, but where After Last Season, the whole time I was so uncomfortable, because it was just like, clearly they were really trying to do something serious, and they just had not a fucking clue what they were doing. And these guys actually had a production value of like maybe, I don't know how much money, not much, but enough to get like costumes, and it looked like they just went into like a costume rental warehouse and just picked out everything like right off the shelf, and just, that's what it was. There was no production
They
design.
filmed it like in Northern California or something like that.
And they tried to play it off like it was in Moravia or whatever.
Yeah, whatever country that is.
Give it to me, Doc. Who's in the right spot?
Here. Hurry. Hurry.
You idiots, look what you've done to my violin. You'll pay for this, you insect. Next time, you bring me a new violin.
But like with Die Hard Dracula, like there's so many scenes where they know it's really bad. Like the scene where Dracula's wife is in the coffin and like Dracula like says like he's going to get like some new bride or something, and she just pops out of the coffin and just flips him off.
I was too hard on you, my dear, but I know you'll recover sooner or later. Goodbye, my love. You can snore all night. I'm going out.
Or like the scene at the beginning, which is one of my favorites of any movie ever, of like where all the peasants are around in the church. And they're all like begging God to let go of this curse of Dracula. And Dracula's coffin like rises up and he's like, I'm sick of all this whining and praying and crying and all this bullshit.
Du, Chetsiva, Ladrak, Lekan Moravia, Bestia, Rosteram Vas Shekne Nakusi. No more praying. 300 years I have listened to this awful praying, crying, and bullshit. I can stand it no more.
And then his coffin just flies out of the castle and then flies around with the what is it, the flight of the Valkyries. And like it just flies around for like a minute and a half until it finds another castle and just comes in. Well, and then they I forget the song that they use during the sex scene, but that is the most hilarious sex scene I've ever seen in my life. It is by far the worst sex scene, and we just went and saw The Room.
Yeah.
And the sex scenes in The Room
they're epic.
Epic.
Yeah.
But like this one in Die Hard Dracula is hilarious, and the music does not fit whatsoever for this sex scene.
Things that happen after the sex scenes are what are really great. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like Dracula pops in the window and they're asleep and he shows up and he's a bird, right?
Yeah.
He like transforms in this like really horrible CG and
then he's like hovering out of the window, like holding the woman in his arms. It's so bad.
What are you doing? Try it sometime. Just to put your lips together and suck.
Oh my God!
It's so awesome.
So can't recommend this movie highly enough. We're gonna have some clips kind of cut through here, but I think one thing to keep your eye out for, and one of the only things I could find on YouTube was the coffin flying scene, and then the scene in which our favorite line in the movie happens, which is,
I'm an American, and we're tough.
And then Dracula just pushes him over.
It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty epic, and yeah, I can't recommend this movie like enough. Like, I think everyone who loves bad movies, if you love The Room, if you love Plan 9 from Outer Space, if you love Troll 2, like Die Hard Dracula is right there on the same level as all of these movies. And I don't understand why this movie doesn't have more of a cult following.
Yeah, it's strange because it's got a relatively high production value, even though it looks like it was shot on VHS or something. And,
Yeah.
But it was put together with a relatively competent group of people that just were making something really bad, and so yeah, I mean it's like it's in the low 5 of IMDb's worst.
Yeah, it's in the top 10 of the
top
worst.
10 or something, and it belongs there. But
Yeah.
but we're telling you to go watch it for sure.